It's James Marland here, and before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to tell you about my new mini course, Overcoming Self-Doubt and Transform Your Mindset to Realize Your Dreams. This course is packed with strategies to help you identify your core values, set powerful goals, and build your unshakable confidence. If fear and doubt have been holding you back from launching your online course or achieving your dreams, this is a chance for you to break free and make it happen. Join us and start your journey towards a more empowered and fulfilled life today. Sign up now and put your mission in motion. Thanks for joining me in the Scaling Therapy Practice. This is the show where we empower mission-driven leaders and helpers to launch life-changing online courses. Today we're going to talk about web pages. Almost all my knowledge about web pages comes from StoryBrand and Donald Miller and his Marketing Made Simple and his Business Made Simple podcast. So if you have any questions about that, or if you want to go deeper with the content, please check out those podcasts. Please check out the Marketing Made Simple. And there was a recent one that really highlighted your web page and the things you need on it. So I'm going to put a link to the show notes in that for that web page, and I will reference that heavily in this episode as a summary. But if you wanted to go deeper with that, definitely check out the StoryBrand. And at the end of the episode or in the show notes, I'm going to give you a couple options for therapists and mission-driven people for support to build their web page from professionals, as well as the StoryBrand people. First off, let's talk about the importance of a website. The website is where current business gets done. In this age where there's fewer and fewer people going out and the ability to get things done online, even grocery shopping, you can do that online now and have it delivered to your house. And with Amazon and Walmart and all the other places, it just makes sense to put your business, your small business online, especially if you are launching an online business or an online component to your business. Putting it online it's essential. It's important. It helps you attract and retain customers, and it helps them know you, and it builds a brand. Now, if web pages aren't effective, it could be because you're confusing them. One of the things from StoryBrand is if you confuse, you lose. And web pages are their attention span of customers is very short-lived. They're scanning the headers, they're scanning the pictures, they're trying to figure out, is this the type of brand for me? First impressions are made up within the first 3 seconds. And so your web page has to capture the attention of somebody in just an instant, in under 3 seconds. And 80% of website visitors just read the headlines. They're only scanning for the information that they're looking for. They're looking for something that connects to them. They're looking for, why should I stay on this page? They're looking for the benefits. They're looking for how you can solve their problem. So websites need to be clear and concise to capture the attention quickly of your audience. There are some common mistakes that web pages make. One would be too much information. You overload people with paragraphs of texts. When was the last time you sat down and read a paragraph of text on a web page? Just think about your own buying habits, your own search habits, especially on like cell phones and things. Like you don't have being in the slightly older generation. I'm almost 50 now. My eyesight's not as good. So if there's a website with a lot of text or nothing's bolded or it's hard to read, I just skip over it and go to the next one. So that's one of the common mistakes. Another common mistake is people don't know how to do business with you because you're not calling them to do something. You're not asking them to do something. It's called a call to action or a CTA. If you don't have a clear call to action, people don't know what their next steps are, and then you're confusing them, and then you lose out on the business. Having a clear call to action, the StoryBrand people recommend on the top right, because people read in a Z pattern. They look at the top left to make sure they're at the top in the Western society. They look at the top left to see the logo, to see if that's where they should be. Then their eyes zag to the right, and that's where your first call to action is. It's a button that looks different than other buttons. It's called out, it's bigger, it's bolder, it's a different color, and it tells them their next step with what to do. Just as an aside, I was looking at my webpage, and my next step is um, schedule a discovery call with me. But I'm just thinking maybe that's not the right next step, because that doesn't clearly identify what the benefit of scheduling that discovery call is. So as I was reviewing this information, I'm thinking maybe I need to have a different call to action. And as they continue with the Z pattern, um, for how people read web pages, they suggest right under your header, you put another call to action, the same button, same font, same wording, so that people read it twice. They read the logo to let them know that they're in the right place. Then they zag over to the right and they read their call to action. They zag down and they see your headline and the benefit and what you can provide for them. And then right under that, as they go to your next section, they see the call to action again. Having a clear call to action is important for capturing the business of your audience. How do you do business with me? And then the last common mistake is using industry jargon, clever phrases, and being cute instead of clear. Clarity trumps clever all the time, especially when you are trying to capture the attention of somebody in 3 seconds or less. So be clear with what you want them to do. You help people. What are you helping people do? They suggest that if somebody who didn't understand web pages, like a caveman, looks at your web page, could they grunt out, who is this for and how can they help? Does your web page do that? The StoryBrand people suggest that there are 8 essential website sections. The first, so it's the header, the stake section, the value proposition, the guide section, the plan section, paragraph of who you are, and then there's some optional sections. So the header, you're going to find if you read at all any website support or tech people that the header is the most important section. It answers what you do, how you benefit the customer, and what action they should take. And as stated above, 80% of the people only read headers. So your header has to be clear. If it's too cute, if it's filled with jargon, if it says something like, we've been in business for 80 years, that doesn't tell people who you are or how you can benefit them. And 80% of your people will be confused. The next section is the stakes section. It's the pain points that the customers have. What are they searching for? How do you identify with them? What are they struggling with? You get this from your research of your topic and from conversations with people and keeping your eyes open and your ears open and going to discussion groups on Facebook or in-person groups about your subject and listening to what people say about what their pain point, what is their exact words. And the more clear you are able to identify what's at stake for them, the easier it is for you to communicate with them. For me, I hear people say they're chained to the desk, or they don't have freedom, or they want to earn more money, or they are tired of doing client-facing activities, but they still want to be involved in therapy and helping people. But how can they go from one to many? So I try to put that sort of language in my stake section. What's at stake? Do you want to be chained to your desk for the rest of your life? Do you want to be stuck trading your time for dollars? Those types of things. The next is the value proposition. The next section you're putting in is the value proposition, and you're highlighting the benefits of your product or service. A lot of people get confused the difference between benefits and features. So a feature of a car might be its price, or a feature of a car might be its miles per gallon. The benefit is luxury transportation, or what's another benefit of a car? It needs few repairs. A feature would be the leather seats. A benefit is comfort while you are riding in your car. Try to define the benefits that you have rather than the features. people get lost in the features. So one of my favorite books is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And he says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you can connect with that why, like why does somebody want a luxury car that costs twice as much? It could be prestige or it could be comfort. It could be they want the benefit of something that doesn't break down. My father-in-law taught me buy the best car that you can, maybe even more than you can afford, because in the long run, it will save you money. And I always bought the cheapest car because that's what I could afford, but it always ended up costing me double or triple in the end because it was always breaking down and loss of money, loss of revenue, loss of transportation, and just the aggravation and frustration. And the benefit I was looking for was something like a Honda or a Toyota that might cost a little bit more, but will last a longer time. Like somebody needed to speak the benefit language to me, not cheap, but cheaper in the long run. Anyways, so what's your value proposition? Then the next section recommended by StoryBrand is your guide section. Introduce the brand with empathy and authority. What is your solution to their problem? And they have a brand guide on their webpage, and you can go to the storybrand.com website. I'll put it in the show notes on how to write out your brand guide. The next section is a simple 3 to 5 steps of what your solution is. How are you going to help them? You're going to outline the steps the customer needs to take to solve their problem. For your course, what is the steps to start the process of getting the benefit from your course, your online course? If you're a service industry, what do they need to do? Do they do an intake, make a plan, work the plan? Like what are the things that you do that help them get the benefit from your service or solution? The last 3 sections are a little bigger. There's a explanation paragraph. You offer more details and a description of what you do, and this is where you can input some search engine optimization language. Uh, one of my favorite places to do SEO research is Neil Patel, and I'll put a link to his thing down there. He has a website, Answer the Public, which you can put in a word or a phrase, and it will give you a graphical representation of all the questions that people are asking about that subject. Is really awesome to look at. I also subscribe to some of his webpage monitoring services that helps me do keyword research. And I'll put that, it's not an affiliate link or anything, and I'll put that in the show notes for you to look at and get more information about search engine. The last 2 sections, there's an optional section for videos and pricing information. So if you have some videos or a longer form explanation of what you do, put that in there. As a viewer of web pages, especially when I'm looking for something to buy, I do appreciate a video. I've seen many nice videos on therapy websites where they explain who they are and why they're there, and viewing them makes me feel better. I don't know about you, but I just like to see the person's personality and attitude, especially when I'm looking at a therapy website. Do a video and the pricing information. And then the last section they recommend, which is, they call it the junk drawer. It's your miscellaneous information like contact details, blog links, other information that you might want to have, your social links. You put that all down there, and that's optional. You can put that in there. So that is your web page. You have the header, the stakes section, the value proposition, the guide section, the plan section, the explanation paragraph, optional sections like videos and pricing information, and your junk drawer. Some practical steps for improvement: simplify and clarify your website. Make sure it passes the Runt test. Use strong call to action and continually update your website as feedback as necessary. A little bit of an action step to take is look at your header. If you are going to do anything, look at your header of your website. Does it clearly articulate what you do? Avoid the clever or cute taglines, but be straightforward and clear. The next tip for a headline is explain how life could be better. You could use your header that clearly explains your business and then use a subheader to describe the benefits of your product or service. This is where you highlight the value you bring to your customers. For example, you could be saving them time. You could be a shortcut. You could help them do things quicker. You could save them frustration of headache of if you're a tax preparer, you could really hit on the fact that don't do taxes by yourself. I can save you time and money with my tax preparation services. So in your header and in your subheader, explain how you can make things better. Also, under the subheader, you have a clear call to action. What's the next step that they take to do business with you? It could be buy now, shop now, schedule an appointment. You place a clear call to action prominently in the center of the header and then another one on the top right-hand corner of the page. Another thing to do for your header is instead of using an image that doesn't show the benefit, look for an image of people using your product or service and experiencing the benefit. If you have a course on happy families, put a happy family on top. If you have a course for a student, parents helping their child with schoolwork, put a picture of a happy kid doing schoolwork. Whatever you're trying to evoke, whatever emotion you're trying to evoke, put that image in your header. This will help people just identify with you and they will see themselves using your product. It's better than putting something that doesn't relate to them. If you have a coaching business, putting a picture of a building or a nice cityscape might look nice, but it's not necessarily what evokes any emotion that connects them to your product or service. And then, of course, just be simple. Make sure the header is not paragraphs of information, which I've seen several times where people try to explain everything in the header and then it just looks like a jumbled mess. And if you only have 3 seconds to get people's attention, they're going to skip right over that. So make sure you be simple and clear. So I'm going to give you my advice. If you're looking for support for doing your web page, instead of thinking, and I learned this from the book, 10x is better than 2x and who not how, but instead of thinking, how am I going to do this? Think who's the best person to help with this or who can I get to help with this? You might spend a week making your web page and that's a week of your time. And that's good if you have the time, but if you're already a busy professional, it would probably benefit you to seek out the advice and support of an SEO company. I have used the StoryBrand, like I refer to them almost exclusively when I'm doing web pages. So I'll put a link to their site. They have StoryBrand guides there, and there's a bunch of free resources. You can start DIYing it yourself. But if you're looking for people to help you, maybe find a StoryBrand account coach. The other people I recommend that I met and I know them in person and I like them is Private Practice Elevation with Daniel Fava. He has a web page and some done for you services, also a done with you service. He launches a couple times a year for your web page. So take a look at Daniel. He's an excellent guy. He also has a podcast, Private Practice Elevation. And then the second one is Simplified SEO Consultants. That's with Jessica Tafana. I've been to several of her trainings. I've worked on 1 or 2 of her worksheets. I did one for her SEO course, and I've learned a lot from her and just how her and her team have been a great benefit to me as I understand SEO. So that's Jessica Tapana at Simplified SEO Consultants. And then the fourth one, I get their newsletter and I really like them. And they also have a podcast. It's a Clear Brand. They are a StoryBrand affiliate. So they have a ton of examples of web pages and some resources for you there. Take a look at that. So there's some resources for you for your SEO and your web page. You definitely need a web page for your online course business. And if you follow these steps and then maybe get some coaching or consultant, you're going to be well on your way to making a lot of money with your web page instead of it being an expensive business card that nobody sees or uses. Thanks again for listening to the show. Make sure you visit the Apple Podcast page and review. Share this page with your friends. As a reminder, I am going to have a mini course on mindset coming out. One of the things I certainly struggled with is mindset of a creator, and I felt like I had things to share, but then I have negative thoughts in my head, like, who are you? Who's going to listen to you? Why would anybody pay for anything that you offer or serve? So I have some worksheets that I've created that helps with mindset, helps identify values and strengths. And there is a mini course sign up coming up. Just look for it in the show notes. And that's coming out before July 2024. Secondly, there's going to be I'm going to put this on the homepage soon, maybe by the time that this episode goes live, is if you're thinking about doing a course, but you don't want to spend too much time or money and you're not really sure, but you're scared of the technology, do I have something for you? I'm going to be running a 2-week challenge, a mini course on getting your first mini course up and running in Kajabi. It's really easier than you think it is. And I'm going to have step-by-step challenges to get your first mini course up and running in Kajabi in 2 weeks with all the tools that you need to get started. Kajabi is a great platform to run this on because they have a webpage, blog, an email list, podcast hosting platform, your course hosting platform, coaching. You can have a coaching program where people pay you money and they have a video meeting room for you. There's also coming up, it's going to be released. I don't know if it's live for the general public yet, but a cohort program where you can have cohorts of people, or a group cohort where people pay you in a group setting for your content. And that is something I'm going to be doing later in the year. First, I'm going to do the mini course on mindset. Then we're going to do a 2-week challenge for getting your content into just out in the world. And then we're going to do a cohort program. So that's all coming up in the next couple months. But yeah, I recommend Kajabi. There'll be a link to Kajabi in the show notes. It is an affiliate link and it does support me and producing this content. It also supports the mini courses and the other courses as I produce them. So take a look at that. Look at the things that we are putting out in the near future. You will be happy to do it. And my commitment is to make it easy and accessible for you so that if you're interested in it, you can take a look at it and get some support that you need. And my goal is to help you rapidly work through some of these things so you're not languishing away for months and months, not releasing your course or your support group, but I can help you get it out quicker. Scaling therapy practice is the opinion of the hosts and guests. And if you need a professional, please seek out a professional in those areas. The information is for education and information only. Everybody's situation is different. So if you need specific advice for your situation, please seek out a professional. The Scaling Therapy Practice is a proud part of the SciCraft Network.